Please welcome Phil Anderson. First of all, I'd like to prepare you and sort of apologize for the fact that I wrote out my remarks. The reason for that, and the folks that are here from LPWI, and especially my children who are here, can attest to the fact that once I get wound up about something and start talking about issues in politics and how I feel about it, I can go on and on and on, and people don't get a word in edgewise, and then sometimes that takes me in different directions, and I can talk all day, which will serve me well in the United States Senate, because when there's time for a filibuster, we're on demand for that, right? There'll be a filibuster, it will last all day. But the reason that I wrote them out is because everything that I'm having to say today in these remarks is really, really important to me. It's sort of a political confession, if you will. I get asked quite often why I'm running, and there's a million reasons, but I pretty much distilled it into this speech, which I've written myself, so bear with me. There's a lot of papers here. It's not very long. It's just big print because I'm becoming an old man.
Big water, please.
Sure. We are today at a political existential crossroads in the United States, indeed worldwide, I would say. Not just for libertarians, but for all people. I do not exaggerate, and let me tell you why. Throughout all of history, if a person or people were oppressed, persecuted, or simply did not consent to be governed in the way that other people tried to govern them, they could escape. At great risk, mind you, but there was always someplace they could go, a frontier, someplace where they could be left alone and be alone. That is no longer the case on Earth. The entire world is now spoken for by governments and by treaty. People can be tracked electronically, indeed are tracked electronically. And even with leaving their technology behind, can be still located from the air and from space. There's nowhere to go and nowhere to hide. Everything has been laid claim to. Our world is completely different from the world of centuries before. We're all sitting ducks for tyrannical authorities, tyrannical majorities, and bound in order to live in society to the abusive demands of abusive governments and planned economies. But why should we care? Why should we care? Why do we care? Why are we all here? Why should it matter? As long as we're clothed and fed. As long as we have bread and circuses. We should care, and we do care, because this life is not proper to a human being. The life that we have to live now is not proper to a human being. It's not natural to a human being. A life of captivity by authority that we do not grant explicitly is unnatural. A life in captivity leads to a subhuman existence, wherein we fight for dominance over each other, or hide in the self-abusive stupor of regular inebriation or self-indulgence. That's what's become of Western society. It's depressing, and we see the evidence of it all throughout Western culture, probably Eastern culture too. This is sort of heavy. I apologize for being so heavy, but it's a serious thing. And it's what leads us to where we are today and why we're here. In addition to this, governments have become much more repressive and demanding, as people have limited ability to opt out. In any relationship, if one party is abused, that abuse will continue until the abuser actually leaves. If there's no threat of leaving the relationship, the abuse continues between romantic partners, businesses and customers, in the case of monopolies where governments trying to run businesses, and between governments and their citizens. In short, Western civilization and Western people are abused and depressed. So I think that's why we're here, why we're in the state that we're in today. But we, as libertarians, have the answer. And to describe this, I'm going to quote a best-selling book by an author in the 1980s, and one that, as far as I know, has nothing to do with libertarianism. And the reason I'm quoting this book is because, and you may experience the same thing, every day I see and hear things that sound exactly like liberty, coming from sources that aren't political or libertarian. For example, I'll just go into this example. This quote is from a book by Robert Fulton, who wrote in 1989 a book called Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. He says, all I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at school. Of course, I don't think they let the school kids play in sand piles anymore. So, these are the things I learned. Share everything, play fair, don't hit people, put things back where you found them, clean up your own mess, don't take things that aren't yours. Say sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Not all these are politically relevant. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. When you go out to the world, watch for traffic, hold hands, and stick together. I think that's quite libertarian, actually. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup. The roots go down and the plant goes up and nobody really knows how or why, but we are all like that. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die, and so do we. Our time on this earth is limited. And remember the Dick and Jane books and the first word you learn, the biggest word of all, look, which also leads to explore and think, which is, I think, why we're all here today. We thought about something and arrived at this place, identifying ourselves as libertarians. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics and equality and sane living. Take any one of those items and extrapolate it into sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family life, or your work, or government, or your world, and it holds true clear and firm. Think what a better world it would be if we all, the whole world, had cookies and milk at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and laid down with our blankets for a nap. Or if all governments had a basic policy to always put things back where they found them and to clean up their own mess. And it is still true, no matter how old you are, when you go out in the world, it's best to hold hands and stick together. Now, maybe the reference to milk and cookies and taking naps is a little bit out of political context, unless you're talking about the restaurants. But I don't think so. One of the ways that authorities keep people separated and distracted is by playing identity politics. They're playing at ways to keep us separated, and this is no longer part of the goal. So often today, when we get described, individual people, individual constituencies, we're described by the characters that make us up. Superficial things quite often, things that are important to who we are, but things that don't describe the most important thing we are, and that's a human being. When we're identified, even by political party, but as white, black, Hispanic, male, female, gay, straight, whatever, religion, whatever, it serves to separate us. It serves to identify us as something other than what somebody else is. And because we're human beings, and we're of a fallen nature, because we have flaws, we fall into that. Because it gives us a sense of superiority to be different. I think it happens with libertarians, to be honest with you. We feel like we know what's going on. Democrats and Republicans are all sheep, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Very agrees. But that's a dangerous mindset because we come off that way when we talk about libertarianism and that turns people off. But that's what's being practiced on us every day, us and the whole world. You're a collection of characteristics and not a human person. And I contend that what libertarianism addresses are the things that are common to everybody. As other people have said in their speeches today and their talks today, the things that apply to all of us. The desire to live, to prosper, and to have our privacy. That's the theme of my campaign. Privacy, prosperity, peace. Those 3 things. Extremely important. I think they tell the whole story, actually. As libertarians, we've got a lot to offer. We have sound positions on issues, liberating people to live as they live best, as they thrive, as they are made or evolved, however you look at it, to be. We have wonderful scholars, tremendous books, quotes from books, from today back through Mises and Bastiat and Locke and beyond. We have America's founding documents that reflect, albeit imperfectly, the principles that support thriving communities of happy, prosperous human beings. But at the root of it all, we ascribe to a basic understanding of and faith in the human person. And I think all of you will agree, as you talk to people about libertarianism, one of the big fears, one of the big things for them to overcome is, what if the government doesn't do it? What's going to happen? Roads won't get built, people won't get schooled, the poor won't get better clothed, old people will rot in their homes. Yet, at the same time, the same people live in families and communities that accomplish all those things despite the government. What our goal is, as libertarians, in my estimation, in terms of talking to people about what we believe, and as candidates talking to people about issues and why we believe in those issues, is that we have a basic faith in human beings, and we draw attention to the fact that communities function very, very well despite government. Families, neighborhoods, the communities of school parents. As a matter of fact, just as a short aside, a couple of days ago, a young man who my kids went to grade school with died in a car crash. And instantaneously, across social media, which is very, very helpful, but there was this network of not only the kids not only the kids connecting, even though they don't go to the school with the kid anymore, connecting and commiserating and talking about it, but the parents too. There are communities out there that we don't appreciate and realize they exist, and they function very, very well without any government help at all. So we take those examples, the examples that are in people's lives already, and show them how, minus government, minus identity politics, minus the big drag on our prosperity, how we can solve all the problems that we have better without government. We're not just substituting for government solutions. We can solve these issues better than government can, more accountable, more personal, more charitable, more in line with the teachings of Jesus Christ, if you subscribe to those. Certainly more by person-to-person understanding and contact, appreciating that a human person is the unit of the economy, of politics, of society, and of salvation. I didn't really want to talk about it, but that's part of who I am, so you're going to get a little bit.
Quite all right.
So I skipped over some stuff. Other parties and systems of government sell false paths to these goals. We do not. As long as we move forward courageously, try to win elections, but not let losing elections stop us. Connecting with people, sharing understanding, not pontificating, not judging. Then we can represent the heritage of liberty we have been given. We can succeed and win for people, leading them toward a vision of thriving communities and a future of true freedom and peace and prosperity. That's where my remarks end, but I want to add one more thing. I've been truly inspired by everything that's happened today. From the start of the XCOM this morning, where we're disagreeing and occasionally fighting over things, but we're all working towards the same goal, even though personalities and people get in the way. Different goals, different ideas, different agendas. But we're still all working together to get the good work of liberty done. And when it's situations like this, where we're all together in the same room, and not on a Zoom meeting, barely hearing each other. Some people don't know how to use their computer right or whatever. And it sounds very disjointed, or emails, or posts on Facebook or whatever. And we're losing sight. It's very, very useful. Of course, I use a ton of that running a campaign. But it also is not the most human way to communicate. In rooms like this, where we get together and talk about the things that are most important to us, that's when we achieve what we're trying to do. And that is to connect with real human beings, put a face on positions, on controversies, to talk, to shake hands, to give hugs occasionally, to accomplish all those things that we can. So as my son and I were driving up today, and I'm just about done, my son and I are driving up today, we're flipping through radio stations, and we hear the song Message in a Bottle by the Police. A lot of you guys know. So near the end, he says, woke up this morning, can't believe what I saw, 100 million bottles cast upon the shore. What's the next line? I guess I'm not alone in feeling alone. I think a lot of people are here because they feel repressed by government. They don't see an answer in society. They finally find libertarianism, which Don did, a long time ago, which other people have found, which I only found a few years ago, which Ron Paul led a lot of us to. And then you see that there are people all around you and all in the world as you talk to them that understand what the basic problem is. That the human person is not respected in government and politics and society. And that's the way we can approach people that identify as liberals and conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, even Michael Krug. We can approach him and say, your goals are the same as mine. You have a different idea as to how to accomplish them. Mine's better. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing up here subjecting myself to this. However, we have common goals. We all want freedom from and freedom to. We want the power to live our own lives, the privacy to do so. Those are the things that we fight for. Those are the things that Bob was talking about. Those are the things that all the other candidates are talking about. That's what our platform's about. That's what everything about libertarianism is about. That's probably what Mr. Boaz is going to talk about. And that's what I stand for. So now you know why I'm running, and I hope appreciate your support. If you have yet to sign a signature, the nomination papers, they're over here. Many of you have agreed to take them. Thank you. If you want to take some, you guys should probably sign because you live in Wisconsin, right? Don't you want to see libertarians on the ballot in the fall?
Hell yeah.
All right. All right, there we go.
No, not.
Oh, no,
but
that's
I
right.
got you on this.
All right. Well, thank you very much for putting up with this stack of papers, and I appreciate your support, and hopefully we're close to cocktail hour.